Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary people everywhere, welcome to Action and Adventure, the Hasbro Universe podcast. I'm your host, Daniel.
And I am your other host, Callum. And, well, today we're doing a bit of, I think we're probably going to call this episode 10.5, aren't we? But because yes. I was sadly absent for the last episode when, the lovely Chris McFeely came in and, took my place. So, I'm going to share my thoughts about some of the stuff I wasn't there for, and then we are going to discuss the things Chris hasn't been reading, namely Clue number 4 and Wrath of Karza number 5.
And then we're going to follow up our Wrath of Karza discussion with sort of a retrospect on on the whole Micronauts series.
So kind of at the end of Wrath of Karza, we've kind of reached the end of kind of CALLUM'S Micronauts. So kind of, even though they are continuing on in ROM and the Micronauts, it's sort of, it's the end of kind of a run of Micronauts, very much. So I'm going to look back on it as a whole. But what was I not there for? First, I wasn't there for discussing the solicits, the December solicits, which came out last week, Right, so I've got the solicits open here, and so first on the list is the Tillula 1 annual, which, I think the main thing here with the solicits was just the covers, wasn't it? Because, I think kind of there's less plot information in the solicit than we already knew from, it was SDCC, wasn't it? We got that information that it's about an election. But, very nice covers, all the same. Because actually, let me get up, because the Sarah cover is it parallels the first issue cover, right? I'm not imagining that.
Yeah, no, there is some very clear parallels going on.
Oh, yeah, I see. It's everyone's kind of all the same characters in kind of the same position, but it's nice, nice kind of bookend. And also, actually, because did you see Sarah pointing out she posted the clean art on Twitter and such, and pointing out that she'd been assuming that it would have the kind of transparent title overlay the main series had for, I think, maybe the last 2 issues. They just changed the cover dress so that it was just the title directly on top of the art, because up above Starscream's shoulder is the silhouette of Dead Bumblebee.
Oh man, that sucks when the title dressing ruins the art underneath.
It's especially weird considering, I think it was about the last 2 issues or so, they'd switched to using, a cover dress that didn't have the black banner and was just the title text directly on top of the art, which looked really nice, I thought. So it's weird that they've gone back for the annual, but maybe they'll fix it, who knows.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. I mean, solicits always change, I feel like there's always something that changes between solicits and actual release. But I certainly hope that's one thing that they do, because, I mean, I can't even note, I can't even see it on the main cover. Oh no,
it's completely covered on the kind of dressed cover, but it's actually that is kind of, it does make me long for the old IDW cover dress. I get why Hasbro made them start using the kind of universal big red Transformers logo, but the old kind of G1 looking kind of the Transformers one was so much nicer. It was more of kind of a unique thing.
It really was. Honestly, when it comes to Transformers logos, I was a sucker for that, and I really am not a huge fan of the just, impact font almost, just Transformers, it's just stamp it on there, it's
it was very nice, the old one, because it was kind of it was the kind of font and stuff of the original, but without the sort of slightly dated kind of gradient colouring, but so just more kind of old but new at the same time. But anyway, this is a weird tangent that I've ended up going on. Next down the list is also, after talking about last, when this got announced, or was it Visionaries versus Transformers or Transformers versus Visionaries? It turns out it's being solicited as Transformers versus the Visionaries.
Yes.
But then you have to wonder if the kind of indicia will it actually be the Transformers versus the Visionaries, because everything always gets solicited as Transformers such and such, but the kind of the formal title in the indicia is normally always the Transformers, which I do like. It's sort of it annoys me when people, well, it shouldn't, and this is a really, really stupid thing to get annoyed about, but like the name of the 1986 film is The Transformers the Movie. Not Transformers the Movie, not the Transformers movie, it's The Transformers the Movie.
Yeah, everything in the 80s was The Transformers.
So, and again, well, actually, no, yeah, we'd seen the covers for Transformers versus Vision. I'm saying this too quickly. Transformers versus the Visionaries. We'd seen the covers before, but the kind of solicit text was new. And actually, yeah, let me reread it, because I haven't read it for a while now, yeah. So yeah, it talks about the heart of Cybertron, which one is left to naturally assume that probably the Visionaries are going to be a sort of a reveal in First Strike number 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the Talisman. Like, the Talisman connection is obvious, and I pretty much called it, because it says they're refugees from another world, so they're not born on Cybertron. They're not like they're from Prismos. So I pretty much was spot on in my prediction. Go me.
But yeah, the refugees thing kind of made me wonder, like, are they going to get to sort of like Vector Sigma down in Cybertron's core and just like find kind of a visionary shanty town down there already? They all ended up there somehow, or kind of, because yeah, if they literally if they first encounter them in the core, how's that going to work? We shall see, I suppose.
Here's what I'm gonna guess, and since I'm on a roll, we'll see we'll see if I'm batting 1,000. My guess is that they will either come to Cybertron after the First Strike event because the Talisman sends some sort of signal or whatever, or and so like when everyone else is sort of reeling, like they just kind of slip in and find the Talisman or something like that. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where Joe Colton and his group get to the core or get to the center of Cybertron and then a bunch of wizards are there.
Well, I could see what I could see happening would be the kind of Team Iron getting to the core and activating the Talisman, and then the Talisman does something weird with, like, because when we are talking about the core, I assume that does mean they're going to get to Vector Sigma. I don't know, but yeah, so the Talisman does something weird and like opens a portal.
Oh, that
might be. Like,
that could also be it. Yeah, they open a portal, or maybe it just teleports the Visionaries right there because boom, they're connected to the magic and all that. So,
but yeah, because I mean, yeah, the Talisman can bend space. It can. Well, actually no. Did it? It technically didn't teleport the Axelon, did it? It just time traveled the Axelon.
Yeah, because it was in Brosnia, and then Krieger set up Project Iceman.
Around the original site,
Yeah.
No. But then, no, the Talisman wasn't being used to power the new mass device, was it? That was just all 13. So, yeah, I suppose, there's not precedent for the Talisman teleporting things, but it's the kind of thing you could see the Talisman doing, another feather in its hat of the many weird things that the Talisman can do. I'm looking forward to Transformers versus the Visionaries. It's the kind of the solicit text has not sort of made me less excited for it. So yeah, all good there. So yeah, Optimus Prime 14 with not a single cover attached to it. That happened a couple of months ago, didn't it? With the solicits, like multiple things had no covers attached, which seems weird, but what do you do?
A little bit.
Just nothing was ready, I guess. And I think my favourite thing about this solicit, text, is that Trypticon is officially going to be a Dinobot, which is great.
I love that.
What I'm hoping is that we get we're going to end up with a Dinobot roster that's kind of includes Trypticon as a new member, and then also Slash as a new member. Yeah,
Chris said the same thing last week, and I was in full agreement. and they could easily do Slash as sort of at least for a couple issues or so. Like they could pretty much do her as the baby Dinobot, like, and have her be like the typical, like the prototypical me Slash, like grim or kind of Dinobot.
If Slash doesn't end up being one of the kind of the newborns, that's just the biggest missed opportunity ever. Yeah.
Oh, easily.
And so I'm interested to see kind of what the difference here is that is causing Optimus to fight the Dinobots over. Like, I'm trying to imagine what the difference in opinion over the newborns is going to be that could prompt that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Did Salvation? Everybody knew that there was a whole bunch of like a hotspot in Trypticon, right?
It wasn't public knowledge.
See, that could be.
Starscream had kept it kind of hush-hush, I think. And then Trypticon kind of absorbed them.
That could be it. That could be like one of those things where maybe Optimus wants to bring the hotspot back to everybody or like to the main, like to Icon or wherever. And sort of that's the conflict. I don't know. I feel like that's going to have, it is going to be something about that hotspot that has something to do with.
Oh, well, yeah. Like, it's clearly kind of, the battle is somehow over the kind of all these newborns that are coming out of Trypticon. But yeah, I'm trying to wonder what is Optimus going to think different to the Dinobots? I don't know.
I mean, maybe the Dinobots want to keep them separate from everything and all the turmoil and all that of the rest of the planet. Something like that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I can see that. Kind of the Dinobots kind of want to start kind of like their own kind of. Well, I guess they already have a city in the form of Trypticon, rather than rejoining Iacon. Yeah, no, I could see that. But yeah, and no mention of the Throttlebots in this solicit text either, leaving just everyone to wonder what the hell is the deal with the Throttlebots coming back still.
They'll probably just be like a supporting role in this issue.
And just the Bumblebee. I talked about that a bunch when that solicit came out. I shan't do it again. Lost Light 13, which we did technically know about this kind of the broad strokes of this issue from TF Nation already. It's the sort of it's a bottle episode, everyone in a tiny spaceship kind of deal, like we had during the disappearing ship arc back in season 2. Yeah, I'd say I'm looking forward to this issue of Lost Light. Kind of, it would be nice to, I guess, kind of. Well, no, I suppose kind of issue 7, the dissolution epilogue, was a sort of everyone's there together issue, but it will be nice to have an issue that is kind of pretty much the whole main cast just together, kind of bouncing off each other.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be that's the thing. This will be the first time we really see a lot of the main characters since 7. So, I'm glad we're gonna get to actually see the main characters like Drift and Rodimus and Whirl and Cyclonus and all that. But at the same time, this is 13 issues in this series. Really? But that's a whole another thing with Lost Light. So,
but actually, I have completely forgotten so far to mention the Alex Milne doing a fill-in issue. That's nice.
Yeah, and apparently, I don't remember the exact tweet, but I'll try to link it on the episode description. Apparently, Robert said that Milne would be back for a longer arc at some point.
Oh, yes, I did see that, yeah.
So
that's cool. That's cool.
I mean, I'm certainly not someone who didn't, I thought Jack Lawrence's art was fine. I had no issue with it. But, this is, at least they're throwing a bone to the staunch Milne supporters out there who ended up dropping the book just because Milne wasn't on it.
like, I'd certainly have no time for the people who have been just like straight up harassing Jack Lawrence on social media. Like, no, you can sort of right off.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, to be fair, there's a difference of just, I prefer Milne's art versus attacking Jack Lawrence. You know.
Yes, yeah. What one is fine. Having opinions is fine, but like, no, like, don't be like that, people.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If Jack Lawrence, like, working on Lost Light is what allowed us to have Alex Milne on friggin' ROM versus Transformers, totally worth it. Totally worth it.
Yeah, and the kind of ROM versus Transformers has very much been sort of it's very well suited to Milne's skill set as a Transformers artist, like 100%.
Honestly, I want to see Milne draw just a straight up ROM solo title. It's so good.
Yeah, he does do a very nice Alien, like.
He does great Aliens. He does great Space Knights. Ugh.
Yeah, speaking of ROM and the Micronauts, one which, we found out with the solicit that it's a 5-issue mini, which, that's sensible, I think. I'm kind of... That kind of pleased me, learning it's a 5-issue mini, because it means that it's hopefully going to be sort of a proper sort of tight story, rather than just... we're kind of continuing on, as an ongoing, but just the Micronauts are here now. Like, having it as a 5-issue kind of event mini, I guess, effectively.
Yeah, it definitely alleviated a lot of worry for me, because, like I said in the last podcast, I was like, I like the Micronauts just fine, but as a hardcore ROM guy, it was like, I really didn't want them, like, sort of cutting into the screen time. But if this is going to be a mini-series and then ROM gets another solo series, totally fine.
Yeah, the one thing that I am still wondering, though, is this going to have the finale, though, to ROM's kind of absence-presence storyline?
That is a good question. We will have to see.
Because, I mean, the solicit mentioned, and it has been mentioned, that this is going to be sort of... Yeah, it's going to involve the Diary of God, but is it going to be kind of the big finale that the ROM ongoing has been building up to so far, or is it going to be kind of first battle against the presence, and then kind of we move on to continuing fighting them in another ROM series, or what? I don't know. Yeah, so I'm curious about that.
I certainly hope it's just a first encounter with the presence, especially because this issue, they do say Baron Karza and Dirge are sort of the main, like, threats. So I think... Yeah. Which I have some other thoughts on, but we'll get to that when we get to our talk of Wrath of Karza.
And it's nice that Paolo Villanelli, or Vianney, I don't know. But
I believe it's Vianney or something.
Yeah, I was going to say,
based on my 2 years of Spanish. but happy to see him doing more stuff. I've liked his art since he did Action Man. Oh yeah, great.
Because he did like the middle arc of ROM as well, didn't he?
Wait, did?
Yeah, and the kind of the arc introducing Livia and Orpheon. I'm pretty sure he did that arc.
I thought Messina. Here, let me.
I like Messina sort of did the first and is doing. Messina did the first arc and is doing the current arc. But
okay.
Reinforcements was Paolo Vianney.
Okay. Wow, honestly, that was so smooth. My brain can't even recall the differences. Wow, that's really good. Okay, awesome. I'm down.
Yeah, kind of. It's easier to recognize him with his humans than his Space Knights, I think. And there aren't as many. There's not that much human in that second arc as there is the first. So yeah, I can see how that might. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Yeah, you're right. Holy crap! I didn't even think about. Wow. Huh. Okay. That's awesome, man. I thought I liked Paolo now. I thought I liked Paolo before. I love him now.
And so no, yeah, I'm optimistic now. I'm more optimistic than I had been about Rom the Micronauts, knowing it is kind of a 5-issue kind of event mini. But yeah, I do still kind of hope that it isn't the Rom, that it isn't the finale to all of Rom so far. I won't be torn up if it is, but I do feel like Rom deserves to have that to himself, kind of.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, Scarlet Strike Force. Let's talk about Scarlet Strike Force.
Yeah, something that technically got announced, because originally it was listed as G.I. Joe Unmasked. Now it's, it was re-announced as it's now Scarlet Strike Force, and we get a bit of a tease toward this. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on on the name change and all that?
It's interesting, because I think kind of the stated logic is sort of, I think I remember reading that it's kind of basically we have so many characters that aren't G.I. Joe characters in this at this point, like, let's stop trying to call it a G.I. Joe comic. But it's a weird choice. Like, you'd have thought IDW would want the G.I. Joe name on it, which is kind of like, it's a recognizable name, but
yeah, I am surprised it's not even like G.I. Joe presents Scarlet Strike Force or G.I. Joe Scarlet Strike Force or something, or
it's because I kind of, with the kind of whole kind of Strike Force thing, it's almost like, are they sort of positioning it as sort of a sort of pseudo kind of like in the tradition of kind of revolutionaries, being the sort of like crossover-y sort of look. It's got a name that's like the last crossover event thing, like First Strike, Scarlet Strike Force. I don't know.
Wow, Unicron's going to be a pain in that case.
But it is honestly just kind of confusing to me, the name change. Like, it's not a bad name, like, but yeah, I'm surprised that IDW chose it, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the idea, and I like the, like, based on the logic, it makes sense, and so it's like, I'm down. Especially though, what I would like for this is, like, even though they are going to have, Cobra's back and all that, I would like to also see them take on some non-Cobra enemies, like, I mean, we're getting the Invader in an issue, but, let's see some others.
That thing is, because I think it's the issue 2 cover that we saw in that original announcement article. It's the Intruder is kind of, he appears to be with, like, the good guys. So, like, is possibly the Intruder, is he, like, a member of Scarlet Strike Force? Which, if so, that's hilarious. I like it.
See, now what I think would be interesting to do with that, like, just based on that cover, is, like, I don't know, maybe the Intruder's like a refugee or something. Like, maybe he's like people are hunting him down because there's a bunch of anti-alien sentiment in this world, and it's like, and he's like, so he takes refuge with Joe or something, or like with.
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah. Because sort of a vague allusion to fighting intruders, I think, in the Revolution prelude, wasn't there? But they haven't been sort of explicitly acknowledged as a thing the adventure team fought. But just it would be funny if just it's like an intruder that was like left over for that's been around since the 80s and like got beat up by Colton and Co. back in the 80s. But yeah, now he's joined G.I. Joe.
You know me, I'm always down for some adventure team.
Yeah.
So I guess the biggest question: do you think Aubrey Sitterson is going to be able to redeem Matt Tracker?
Well, that's because Matt Tracker was originally announced, but when G.I. Joe it was announced as G.I. Joe Unmasked, it did talk about Matt Tracker. He's not on any of either of the covers we've seen for it so far. Like, I assume he probably is still going to be there, but yeah, I noticed that he is just not on the covers, which is interesting to me. But
yeah,
literally, you'd have to work to make Matt Tracker kind of a less engaging character than he already was. Just because IDW Matt Tracker, I always say this, but he's like terrible sort of, he's always so smart, he's the smartest engineer and he's super handsome, but he's sad about everything all the time. As oh gosh, I cannot make any decision without getting sad about it. And like anything bad that happens vaguely near me is my fault, and I've got to beat myself up over it endlessly. And
he really does feel like a Mary Sue in a lot of ways, I think.
Yeah, it's...
And I mean that in the traditional fanfic version of that term, not the modern term, the sexist version
where
of that
it just
term.
means female character I don't like. Yeah. So like, I'd hope that it could do something interesting with Matt Tracker. But and the thing I love most though that we've seen some Scarlet Strike Force is the new Viper that is literally just a bunch of snakes in a Cobra uniform. Like, I am there for that. Like, goddamn, yes.
Yeah, like, I mean that's such Citizen. Like, I feel like that is just the fully formed representation of Citizen's Joe is Vipers are literally a pile of snakes. I mean, that's just...
Well, because I mean, it's hard to tell looking at the art, but it looks as well like it's not kind of just a snake man. It is literally kind of multiple snakes.
It's like got
coiled
snakes
around
for arms.
That's the best.
Oh my god, it's...
Because let me... actually, no, I've got here the original interview announcing it. And because that kind of name drops a bunch of great stuff as well. Like, apparently... oh, no, I've lost my... where was it now? I've lost the place in the article. Yeah, like Cesspool from, Eco Force, was it? Who was cameoed in that one page of Revolutionaries is going to be in it. And, Raptor, the Cobra kind of, falconry guy. And Crocmaster's back. Crocmaster's great. He's just a guy with a bunch of pet crocodiles and a silly mask. And they're riding dinosaurs.
Yeah, looks like he's got some new pets.
Crocodiles, dinosaurs, they're basically the same thing. Yeah.
I mean... Yeah.
And Raptor as well. Birds are also basically dinosaurs. Makes sense.
Well, technically, pterodactyls aren't dinosaurs.
It's true, yeah. It's true.
Still would probably... And, I mean, birds are dinosaurs. They literally are.
But yes,
I will say that's another thing I have to complain about. These T-Rexes have no feathers. That's just bad science.
If they had feathers, kind of Crocmaster wouldn't feel as comfortable with them.
Maybe he literally plucked them. Crocmaster literally just plucked all the dinosaurs' feathers off.
Crocmaster's about the scales, you see, they're a key part for him. So yeah, featherless dinosaurs is what you get. But no, I am looking forward to Scarlet Strike Force. About it makes it seem like just Citizen Joe, but except even more silly, and I'm up for that. I'm very up for that. So yeah, bring on Scarlet Strike Force.
Yep.
And last of the new issues is Gem Dimensions #2, with what were the two stories? So we've got so Shayna takes her fashion design final, which it was neat to hear that, because it makes it sound like there is going to be some sorts of plot progression still, even though it's an anthology series. Kind of like there will be sort of events that have a lasting meaning, kind of like Shayna finishing her fashion design thing. So that's cool. And then also karaoke battle, which is just the best, and the cover for it is great.
Karaoke battle. Yeah.
That's right. You can't see enough of those lyrics on the screen on the cover to recognize them as anything.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to Gem Dimensions. It promises to be fun, and it will be neat having lots of different artists and writers on it.
Definitely.
I'm still a bit kind of about not having an ongoing story, but the kind of the novelty of a sort of an anthology with rotating creative teams makes up for it a reasonable amount, I think. So yeah.
Yep.
And then there's just some trade paperbacks that are mostly unexciting. A collected edition of all the Wreckers stuff. Yeah, fair enough, makes sense. Interesting that it's it says it's a trade paperback, doesn't it, rather than a hardcover, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But, I guess they've been doing paperback reprints. Actually, no, isn't it paperback? Well, at least one, but a paperback reprint of I think the first two IDW collection Transformers hardbacks. So I guess just really big paperbacks are a thing that they're fine with doing. So yeah.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Autocracy trilogy, but I think this is I think a paperback reprint of a hardback. I'm sure this has been solicited before in the past.
That's exactly what I said last time. It's this was totally solicited. We talked about this on the show once before,
so I assume that's
so.
A Drift collected paperback, just because Shane McCarthy's Drift. That's what the people want. All in one place. Yeah. Great. Let's have a full. How many issues is that going to be? 9 issues of blithering. Oh, it's bad that we're fighting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Drift is never a character I cared about. Even in More Than Meets the Eye, I didn't care about him that much, but it's meh. I never read any of these series, so all I know is RID Megatron was in one, so that's literally all I know.
Of the Drifts, Spotlight Drift is it's fine, as much as I remember. I think that has Casey art. I think Casey Collar or Guido Greedy art. It's got nice art, at least I remember. The first Drift mini has got Alex Milne art, which I think was kind of some of the first kind of Milne art since kind of stuff like Megatron Origin, I think. It was I'm pretty sure that the first Drift mini was more or less the debut of new, improved, not over-inking everything Alex Milne.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice to look at least. And then Empire of Stone, which, as far as I can tell, has got really nice Guido Greedy pencils with really bad inking on top of them, and just for some reason Jean-Paul Beauvais using the exact same colouring style as from Regeneration 1, which just looks completely weird on it. Empire of Stone is such a weird mini-series. I guess I can only assume that the first Drift mini sold well in trade paperback or something, because I can't see why else you would have a mini-series.
I feel like one time John said that, I feel like he said in an interview that I was listening to that they did another Drift series to capitalize on the movie.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. Was it? I guess, was it 2014 that it came out?
Yeah.
But it's just it's such a strange media. Like, let's take Drift out of the series that made him actually made him a popular fan favorite character, and have the visual style of Regeneration 1. What? Huh? It's
See,
such a strange...
what's going to be interesting, though, is I'm going to have to read that story at some point. You know, for the thing.
Oh, true, yeah.
Wink.
I just...
Anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, have fun with that. But it's not a very good miniseries. It is your standard Shane McCarthy. Yeah, it's bad that we're fighting something forgotten why we're fighting something war. It's bad something.
Yeah.
And
then
Mask Volume 2, yes, it's collecting the issues of Mask with the worse art.
Can I just say, I find the title of this trade paperback so weird. Okay, there's the origin of Venom, but then there's like Venom only appears in like the last 2 issues, and then the annual's tacked in there somewhere, which who knows, maybe the placing of the annual will help us place that in continuity, and this is just going to be a mess of a trade, honestly. It's
all the rest of the Mask stuff. I can kind of see the title, like Rise of Venom. Well, it's the origin story of the Venom people. It's not really the origin story of Venom. It's the origin story of the members of Venom. But actually, no, I tell a lie. The end of the origin of Venom thing is like Miles Mayhem recruiting them, isn't it? And then doing a sort of like hands in, sort of best friends thing.
Yeah.
Mask.
Yeah.
It's got the annual. That's better. So that's something.
Maybe that'll help us place that in. I don't know.
That implies that there is any way to place it, which there's really not. Like, I've come to the conclusion that the only kind of way that makes at least some sense is it's got to be between 7 and 8, and just Venom got out of prison off panel and then got put back in prison. I don't see that there's another way to work it. It can't go during 5 because they've either like not got Boulder Hill yet, or Brad's injured, or it can't really go between 5 and 6 because Matt kind of implies in 6 that the events of the first arc were the last. That was the most recent time they fought Venom. So yeah, between 7 and 8, and don't think too hard about it, I think, is the conclusion I've come to for the time I've been working on.
I mean, technically, only Sly was actually shown to be broken out of prison, so you could fudge it and say that Sly got arrested, but I mean, the obvious intent is there, but anyways, it's a whole mess. Why are we talking about Mask? Why should we be talking about Mask at all? Let's move on. Let's talk, Callum. Let's get your thoughts on the books we talked about last time. So, what do you want to talk about? So, let's go ahead and do it in the same order that me and Chris talked about them. Lost Light number 9. Thoughts?
In short, my thoughts on Lost Light 9 are that the actual main plot with Nautica and Velocity, I don't get what the point of it was in the end. Like, it set itself up as being a story about kind of Nautica getting over her grief about Skids, and technically it is, but it's actually just about Nautica just deleting her grief over Skids, and it just seems super pointless. I don't get at all what the kind of narrative purpose of the Nautica and Velocity storyline in this 2-parter was. Like, what? I don't. Yeah.
It was a very unsatisfying conclusion. I much preferred your idea that you had posited, like back when back a few months ago. I think your idea was much better, and I'm going to replace the actual issue in my head with that.
I don't see what did this achieve? It's just kind of depressing. It's not like if my thing had come true, that could have been like nice and moving. Probably had a nice cry over it. It would have been sad, but sort of satisfyingly sad, and there would be some sense of closure. But instead, no, it's just nope, not good, deleted all her emotions related to Skids. And so that's the end of that, and I guess she made a choice that yes, she is friends with Velocity. But that's about the kind of practical upshot of this issue, of that plot from that issue, from like a character standpoint. I don't get it. What? I'll just repeat myself because I don't get what the point of that plot line was.
Yeah.
But in contrast, the whole sort of myth arc, Anode and Lug and Wipeout stuff is a lot more interesting because like it's things that seems to have some actual meaning and and some kind of relevance going forward rather than just being a weird diversion that I don't get what the point of it is. And I guess there is all the stuff with this, what's he called, the Infinite, the super magic transformer who can like resurrect himself and turn into anything, but it's all leading up.
Coffin Bot. I'm sorry, I do. I really prefer Coffin Bot. It's a much better name.
Clearly, it's all leading up to a Gem crossover.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, what this issue was leading up to was a reveal that I really liked, which was that, well, presumably the kind of the final boss of More Than Meets the Eye / Lost Light is Scorponok. Scorponok's back, and I was thinking this the day of the issue, but in hindsight, it is so obvious that it was Scorponok responsible for all of the stuff relating to this kind of mysterious faction of people who are doing things, because like the original thing back in the first Scavengers story, they find a ship full of where it's got Grimlock on it, and it has got a bunch of weird experiments with transformers and organic life on it, and I guess everyone fixated on the idea that it was Shockwave, and thus it didn't really occur to sort of the fandom at large that it could also be Scorponok, who was also on Garrus 9, and also had more of a thing even than Shockwave at that point of doing stuff with organics. Yeah,
and he had a rivalry with Grimlock, you know.
Well, yeah, and he had a thing with Grimlock. I mean, granted, Shockwave also had a thing with Grimlock, but it seems so obvious in hindsight that it was Scorponok.
It really does.
I'm pleased with this reveal. I'm glad that I remember being worried at one stage that the final boss are getting, to use that as a shorthand. The final boss for the series was going to be a kind of stock James Roberts original character with a name that doesn't really sound like a Transformers name. There's just a word on its own, and with a slightly dull Cybertronian design that doesn't really look like it turns into anything, and you struggle to find a reason to care about them. There are some very good James Roberts original characters like Rung and such, but people fixate on what's that, the evil Nemasurgeon who turns up a bunch. Trepan or Trepan, however you pronounce it. I've seen people talk about him as a character, draw fan art of him, how? Oh my god, so generic. I struggle sometimes to James Roberts.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
I'll be honest, I had kind of forgotten this guy.
Like you can recognize a James Roberts original character, again, like Rung is a good character. I'm not like, this is not kind of a blanket diss, but you can sort of tell. Like, you put a bunch of Transformers in a room, you can tell the ones that are James Roberts' original characters because they've got a name that's just a word. Someone pointed, I forget who it was, I saw point that out, but it's so true. But yeah, no, I'm really happy that it's Scorponok. Yeah, that's cool. And it kind of continues the thing of, like, Furman stuff basically being the only thing that, from previous continuity, that James Roberts draws on.
Although, I will have to say, in addition to the Scorponok thing and the other thing, which we'll get to in a minute,
the other thing, yeah.
I gotta say, let's just go ahead and say, the Magnificence. Like, this was something like, God, when did it last appear? Revelation? I want to say?
It has appeared since, like, Hot Rod uses it to check if Double Dealer double-crossed him, and
and it says yes, and then that's like it. That's like
he shakes it, and it says signs point to yes, and and then it disappears.
I mean, that's the thing, and like it was clearly something that like Furman had this plan for, and and it was one of those few things that like no one ever bothered. Honestly, I'm surprised. I'm honestly kind of surprised that Barber didn't do anything with it. But
just what can you? Well, yeah, I'm interested to see where Roberts goes with it, just because the Magnificence is such a terrible plot. It is literally. It's a magical magic 8-ball that can answer any question.
Yeah.
And just, like, what stories do you tell about that? So yeah, I'm interested to see what James Roberts does with it. But it's cool that it's back after all these years.
Although I will say this, the double-edged sword that is Phase 2 and More Than Meets the Eye means there were several fans who, like, this had no effect on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I saw at least one person saying like, "Oh, who is this guy?" And like they then thought, "Oh, and why has he got Skid's brain module?" In addition to not knowing who Scorponok was, they had mistaken the Magnificence for being Skid's brain module, just because it looks kind of like a brain module. And if you don't know what the Magnificence is, that's kind of reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a big reveal for people like you and I, and like people who've gone back and read almost everything, or at least just the Phase 1 stuff. But it's like, if you're someone who's just read More Than Meets the Eye, this was nothing to you. It's
not great from kind of from a sort of what's the way of kind of say is. It's not great sort of storytelling hygiene, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking about, I remember when kind of Dark Cybertron, during the build-up to Dark Cybertron, there was a very sort of deliberate effort to anything that you needed to know for Dark Cybertron, any kind of backstory from previous storylines you needed to know for Dark Cybertron, that was all in the Prelude somewhere. If you read kind of all the Prelude material you were kind of forearmed with everything you needed to know. Like, and also, like, with More Than Meets the Eye even. If you had not read Last Stand of the Wreckers, issue 6 of More Than Meets the Eye served to kind of introduce Overlord and establish why he is a scary threat ahead of him turning up and being a scary threat. But yeah, like, Scorponok has not been mentioned ever in More Than Meets the Eye Lost Light, or neither has the Magnificence. And yeah, it does feel a bit sort of like it's a cool reveal, and I'm excited. But yeah, like it's a very good, it's a fair point, and kind of one that does kind of deserve some criticism, that it is not in the slightest bit friendly to people who came onto IDW at the beginning of the Barbots era. I still prefer saying Barbots to Phase 2. It's fun.
It is. I mean, I'll even say your point of Overlord. I feel like Overlord was at least better, like, was introduced better, like, you know, especially because the Barbards era did have this inherent, oh, the war happened. So it's like, even if you don't know the specifics of what he did, it was like, still, you could piece together that he was a bad guy during the war and all that.
But yeah, kind of Overlord got kind of, he had sort of an introduction before he actually entered the plot in a significant way. He was introduced in issue 6 for the new reader before becoming like a significant part of the plot during I was trying. There's not really a name for that, but that kind of 12 to 16 run that's about kind of.
And here's the thing: if you're someone who only read the More Than Meets the Eye, you know, and for some reason doesn't have access to the wiki or whatever, it's like, or doesn't want to wiki it, it's like, this reveal is not going to be followed up on, and you're not going to get any explanations to who this guy is for like at least four issues, right? Because we got the 3-part Mutineers arc, and then the bottle episode. Like, it's like I liked this reveal. Don't get me wrong, but I see all the double-edged sword. Like, I see this as a double-edged sword, and it's really painful. Like, I feel bad for all the new fans, you know.
But yeah, the solution would have been to at some point, and like it would have even had to be recently. I'm sure there was some point throughout More Than Meets the Eye where it would have been not unreasonable to include Scorponok in some kind of flashback involving the Decepticons, maybe some kind of flashback involving Overlord. Have there been some flashbacks involving Overlord? Like, you could have introduced Scorponok during issue 14 of More Than Meets the Eye, where Chrome Dome is going through Overlord's memories. Like, you could have introduced Scorponok there.
Yeah, that would have
not
worked.
Like drawing any attention to him, but just like have him in it, refer to him by name, and establish that he's a big player in the Decepticons. That would have been all you would have needed. Like, I mean, and I assume he knew back then that it was Scorponok, because, like, again, the Scavengers story had happened by then, and I assume that was the kind of thing he did know back then. Yeah. So and I guess there's an element of not drawing attention to Scorponok so the reveal stays a surprise, but it's not friendly to new readers.
Yeah.
That's all it would have taken, a little introduction for Scorponok some time back, just so that anyone only reading the Roberts corner of this line would be familiar with him, so this reveal would have some meaning, which it really doesn't if you're not a reader. And so I'm sort of torn on this reveal. Like you were saying yourself,
I ruined it for you. Yay!
Well, I'd been considering this already. You don't need to shoulder the blame for that. But yeah, it is. It's a good reveal, but like I like the thing that is revealed, but it is not a reveal that is brilliantly executed, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's exciting, but then when I stopped and thought about it, it was, this has some slight problems.
Yeah.
But
it's a pity, because it would have been so easy just to put Scorponok in a flashback, just so that that final page has meaning to someone who doesn't know who Scorponok is, and because that's the thing.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe there'll be some talk of Scorponok either in the next issue, maybe just some of the Mutineers talk about Scorponok or something like. But I feel like it could be a really clumsy exposition. But
yeah, I don't know. And especially since actually, his name isn't even used in this issue. So I mean, even if
they could have. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, but so his name isn't even used in this issue. So even if you did get to this final page, who is this? You don't even have any way of finding out who like who this person is, short of just asking another actual human being, because you can't kind of Google like purple and green transformer with like orange horn things. Like, well, I don't know. Maybe Google could do it. Actually, yeah. I'm going to right here now. Yeah, try and Google up Scorponok based on the description of him.
Purple and green transformer with orange horn things. It popped up Unicron.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got Unicron, Devastator, Armada Megatron, Cybertron Megatron, Tripticon. But yeah, no, I'm not getting any Scorponok here.
Scorponok is nowhere in my image. Okay, wait, he's like on the 5th line is a Scorponok. And it's not even IDW, it's like Headmaster Scorponok. Or Rebirth Scorponok. It's one of the two.
Dear. Yeah, no, so
yeah.
Google isn't that good, and yeah, neither is the execution of this reveal. It's a pity. It's a pity.
Yeah, and really, it would have been so easy to just toss in. You know, it's like, to me, it's always been the Magnificence. You know, whatever you say, Scorponok.
Yeah,
that easy. But I mean, it is intriguing, and it's got me interested in seeing where the myth arc goes. And honestly, I am looking forward to the Mutineers arc. I mean, it's going to have Getaway. It's going to get back to the ship. It's going to have Defensor, one of my faves.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's the thing. And I really want to get like some more like exploration of why certain characters chose to join the Getaway's Mutineer. Like as I was talking with a friend that also reads the book, and we were like, it was a little like why did certain characters join up, like Blaster or Blue Streak? You know, it's like
Perceptor is the one.
Perceptor, yeah.
Because he's I'd say Perceptor. I
mean, I'm literally looking at Perceptor right now. You'd think I would have considered him too.
Yeah. I think he's kind of the most major character almost that wasn't part of the sort of the kind of the gang that was kicked off. So, but yeah, no, the Scorponok reveal has reinvigorated my interest in the myth arc, I would say.
Yeah. So let's move on to First Strike number 3. What did you think of this issue?
Yeah, no, I've read issue 4 by now, but First Strike is moving along at a very nice pace. It's definitely, and I like Revolution, but it's definitely better paced than Revolution. It feels kind of even pacing, kind of, and again, it's because Revolution spent a lot of time just kind of introducing people into the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, First Strike is going along very nicely. It's number 3 in particular, Soundwave and the Helicopter Twins, they're great. Like, great time with them this issue. Just where's the bit? Scarlet. Oh, so you've got super hearing? Must be nice. I prefer to think of everyone else as profoundly deaf. Replace Soundwave. Oh.
Good old. Yeah. I love Soundwave so much.
Yeah, it's fun as well to have sort of Bagrid Scott kind of writing sort of a different set of Transformers than she normally does. Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, her on the villains. I mean, like I said, I don't want to give too much of my thoughts because we talked about this last time. But I honestly think the villains were the highlight of the issue. Mayhem, great.
Yeah, it's what's setting apart this story from a lot of other kind of humans versus Transformers stories, because the stock thing with those is, the good guy Transformers and the good guy humans fight because of a misunderstanding, and then they team up to fight the actual villains afterwards, like your standard superhero team up thing. But this, just from the outset, is like the Transformer heroes versus human supervillains, and it's great. Like, I mean, I guess Revolution was technically Transformers versus supervillains, but like, I don't know, not as
not as overtly super villain as like it was Miles, an evil human, evil alien wizards, and evil tiny alien guy.
Yeah, it was more a kind of alien invasion kind of thing, revolution.
Yeah, this is more
proper like mask wearing. Well, they don't all wear masks, but yeah, sort of mask wearing human supervillains, and it's great. And yeah, mask wearing human supervillains who just bicker constantly, and it's great. It's great.
I mean, it's very Legion of Doom-esque. And like I said last time, Scott, I honestly think Margaret Scott has done more for the character of Shazrayla than even Cullen Bunn and Jimmy Johnston have. Like, so good. Such a great character in this crossover.
Yeah, kind of. Like, I hope before First Strike finishes, we get to see Shaz and Starscream meet properly.
Yes,
because
especially after Lawler 1 Revolution. Oh, that'd be so good.
Yeah. Well, because that one shot made a whole thing of drawing parallels between them. So yeah, I hope they do get the chance to meet properly. Like, that's one of my sort of things I want to happen in this crossover is Starscream and Shazrayla meet. Yeah. But just the villains are so much fun. Just like everyone, I like just that everyone hates Miles Mayhem basically, and
that's why we love Miles Mayhem, because he's so hateable.
Yeah. But yeah, just like Miles Mayhem being just like casually misogynistic the whole time, and then everyone else like I like that. Yeah, just even all the other super villains like are just completely done with Miles Mayhem being misogynistic the whole time.
Yeah,
like Destro's like, God's sake, that's. Will I try and do a Scottish accent for Destro? No, I won't. He's too. That's too stupid to even warrant a response. Says Destro. A bit of Striker. That's nice. Kind of. She comes out, does something for a bit.
Good old Striker. I honestly like. Say what you will about Beast Machines, like Striker, Obsidian, just two great characters. Always glad when they get to do stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's hard to like talk about the ending, having already read the kind of continuation of that cliffhanger. But it's a very nice final page. Certainly, that kind of
the composition of that is just Max Dunbar's art, beautiful. Honestly.
Oh yeah, like he's been doing very nicely in this crossover. Like, I feel like kind of when it was announced, I feel like I was maybe a bit sort of, will he do okay with all the Transformers? But like, I guess he'd been drawing Biotron a bunch. He's basically a Transformer.
Biotron, Microtron. He'd been drawing some robot guys.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so he's been doing very nice work on First Strike.
Anything else?
I think we had predicted it by this point, but the Dr. Mindbender reveal was nice, and
which I wonder if he's gonna get a backup or what. But evidently, this might have been sort of like what he was alluding to in Mask number 7.
What did he say in that?
He mentioned something about a war, and Matt Tracker needs to get ready. So that's saying he could have been a part of Ironblood's team the whole time.
Yeah.
So hey, we found something interesting in Mask.
And and then speaking of Mask, the backup for this issue was the Miles Mayhem one. And, oh my god, like, it's so uncomfortable that like I'm at the point now where I do genuinely feel really bad for Blitzwing just being mercilessly tortured by Miles Mayhem.
Oh, I know. It's like I mean, that first, when the Revolution prelude happened, and it's like, oh god, Blitzwing. But then it's like the fact that every time we've seen him since, he's just been screaming in pain. It's like, oh my god, I want Blitzwing to like get out of there and hunt down Mayhem or something. I want him to get out of there, and I also just want to say, just please put him out of his misery, God.
Yeah, I mean, like, because, I think, like, it's the last thing Blitzwing says in the backup story, but it's like, oh, can anyone hear me? Is this the after spark? It's like, oh my God, Blitzwing.
Oh.
Gosh. Oh, dear.
I mean, even Colton, like, was visibly upset at Miles' actions. Like, I think that says something, you know? Like, that even Colton, who is literally discussing a plan to murder all of the Cybertronians, is like, okay, this is a bit far. This is a bit much. I am curious, though, as to the placement of this backup, because we see Miles' prototype mask, which, of course, was a plot point in the previous, in Mask, so I don't...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my brain cannot help but try to finagle these things together.
It's got to be a little bit before the start of the Mask ongoing, because Sly is there. It's the Venom base, clearly.
Yeah.
And Sly is there, so it's got to be kind of in between that, the flashback from the Venom origin thing, where Venom forms and the start of the first arc, at the end of which Sly goes to prison with everyone. So, well,
at least this answers where Blitzwing went after Revolution.
Yeah, that was kind of a loose end, wasn't it? That kind of he's just, as last we saw him, he was still under Governor's Island, but Miles Mayhem got him out somehow. Yeah. Well, actually, no, he had access to Skywarp's teleport tech, didn't he?
So
I guess he teleported him out, probably. But yeah, somebody please rescue Blitzwing. Like, gosh. Oh dear. Yeah, poor Blitzwing. But yeah, I feel like I'm taking longer than I thought talking about these, so I feel like I should move on to talking about G.I. Joe First Strike. Well, actually, more Mask and Venom, I suppose. But like, oh my God, this issue. Like, I mean, we've been saying for a few episodes now. Citizens G.I. Joe is really good, but just the decompressed pacing, just not a fan. And then this issue,
breakneck.
It's a normal ordinary Citizen G.I. Joe issue, but 10 times faster. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like that's saying. I really liked this issue, but no, this is your time. Give me your thoughts.
It's exhilarating, isn't it? Just it does not stop for a second, and it's so good. Just like the art is really good. Like Ilias Kyriazis. I'm butchering that. I'm so sorry, but very not like I think my favourite bit in the issue is just on page 2, Sly's face at the end of page 2, kind of when they're all like, yes, Cobra Commander, we're all yours, and like Sly kind of like lowering his shades and sort of pouting and all. It's great. But yeah, like very nice art from our guest artist, and just oh my God, this issue is just packed to the brim with just things happening constantly. Like, it's so good. Like everything's exploding and flying around, and there's not a single wasted panel. Kind of
Yeah, and then there's that final page that just like.
Well, the thing with the final page reveal is that we'd seen that without text in the Scarlet Strike Force reveal like interview thing. But somehow I'd looked at that image and it had not clicked at all for me that is really obviously a combiner of those three Venom vehicles. Like, it is super obviously their colours. Well, but somehow I was still, oh my god, when they started combining, because I realised what was happening.
I mean, to be fair, like, that combination is physically impossible.
Oh, absolutely, yes. This is some hardcore kind of, like, bullshit transformation. But, like, maybe Cobra, they have access to mass shifting tech somehow. They...
I mean, it's literally like the vehicles exploded and someone glued them together. Haphazardly into the shape of a snake. Honestly, it's
really cool. But yeah,
it's cool. It's amazing. I love it. But
let's no prize this. Iron Claw, he harvested mass shifting combiner tech from the Predacons whilst he had them in his thrall, and sold it to Cobra, and that is how Scrap Iron, isn't it? That Cobra. That is how he was able to engineer a truck and a car and a motorbike to combine into actually it's right next to a building, so I can count how many stories tall it is. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, like a 5-story tall giant snake. But just this issue, oh my god, this issue! I'm incredibly excited for the second part, just because it is non-stop.
We still have to see who, like, which mask member will be, like, helping the team out, because
no, I kind of wonder if that's just been dropped, because maybe. That was in this issue, talked about a mask person helping them, and I do kind of wonder if and it's Matt Tracker who's on some of the covers, and I just kind of wonder if maybe at the stage these were being solicited. Actually, no, because I feel like the first Strike issues were solicited with, like, the cover that shows, like, Matt among the people on trial on Cybertron. So, who knows? I was going to say, was it going to be Matt? But then they decided to have him be on Cybertron in the mini, but no, that cover would say no. So who knows? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's just been dropped and that it is just G.I. Joe versus Venom. Which,
I mean, I'm certainly fine with that. Venom is the most interesting characters in the Mask book.
Yeah. And I suppose the other big thing to talk about with this issue is all of the stuff that has clearly happened in G.I. Joe 9, which isn't out yet.
Yeah.
So much as... Cobra Baroness Commander. Well, actually, no, I thought up a good... De Cobra Commander, because she's Baroness Anastasia De Cobra, isn't she? Yeah. But
I mean, it's a design that really works.
I think it's a pity that her design is just literally the Baroness with blue gloves and the Cobra Commander hood on. But it works. It looks good.
Now, I haven't reached... I'm still a little early in my Joe rereads, or my Joe readings, so... Has any Cobra Commander worn the hood version, or is it just the silver mask? Because I feel like everyone I've seen has had the silver mask. No, but the silver mask has not by no means been I think basically everyone has had their own thing. I forget though, I feel like at least one of the kind of historical Cobra Commanders from the kind of little arc that that Paul Allor wrote at the end of Volume 3. I feel like one of them might have had something akin to the sort of balaclava-y mask. I am gonna open up my CBZ of that and check. G.I. Joe Volume 3, and I want issue 12. So, past Cobra Commanders, we have got Pirate Cobra Commander, who just wears a sort of a mask around his kind of mouth and nose, kind of like a blue cloth mask, kind of cowboy style. We have got Cobra Commander wearing a sort of weird, it's this kind of shiny silver mask but with eye holes. One of them has.
Oh, actually, no. Yeah, this is what I was thinking of. One of the past Cobra commanders from this kind of flashback story has got. It's almost that kind of hood mask, but it's like he's got kind of two bandanas on at once, one around his kind of mouth and one around his kind of head. So kind of, it's not got two eye holes, it's just got a gap between the two bandanas. But no, yeah, nobody has properly done that sort of Cobra Commander hood before. So yeah, that Baroness gets to be the first one to use that in this continuity, and yeah, it does look good, even if it is literally just her old costume with new gloves and the mask.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I've always been partial to the silver faceplate myself, but
yeah, it's the most striking, I would say. Yeah, but one thing that is neat about Baroness becoming Cobra Commander is, well, it was something that I'm guessing you've not read yet, is that during the Cobra Civil War arc, Baroness is technically one of the candidates to become Cobra Commander, but she spends all of her kind of focus issue on it being like, yeah, I'm not going to be Cobra Commander. Yeah, I'm not going to become Cobra Commander because the Cobra Council are a bunch of misogynists.
Yeah,
and so yeah, it's neat that now she is Cobra Commander. It's a new Cobra that's less misogynist.
Yay. I am all for women in power, so even if that power is being a literal terrorist.
Yeah,
but take what you get.
And I guess the other thing, unseen thing from, well, technically, we find out that Rock and Roll and Skywarp don't die.
And apparently Globulus is involved somehow.
Well,
which I have seen those painted pages where it's the talks about the snake deities and history and the mother snake and Globulus and Serpentor and all that.
I suspect that's not something that I don't think that's probably going to be something that's going to be in 9 much. I think this is more sort of teasers for the future.
True. Sorry. Yeah, you just mentioned Rock and Roll and that made me think that scene. So yeah, but yeah, they survive, and the footballer Spitfire joins the Joes in issue 9. So a lot of stuff is going to happen in issue 9.
Spitfire's such his kind of like G.I. Joe kind of costume is kind of design is great. Like, that's such a good idea. Like, an English G.I. Joe called Spitfire who has like a winged jetpack. That's just great. I love it. Like,
wearing that Union Jack shirt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Admittedly, that's a bit much, I guess. I don't know. Are you offended by that?
Nah, it's cool. I like. If it had been an England flag rather than a Union Jack flag, that would have been weird because, like, unless the football's on, there's a bit of a sort of tendency to assume that people going around with England flags when the football's not on, you kind of assume they're probably a racist. Like, it's a sad but true state of affairs that they're not. Yeah. Stuff like the English English Defence League kind of nationalist wankers have a bit co-opted the England flag, but Union Jack, it's fine. That's not that cheesy. Like, actually, are there any like American G.I. Joes that have a US flag prominently on them? I don't know.
I feel like most I'm trying to think now. Problem is, every G.I. Joe, 90% up until like the 2000s, every member of G.I. Joe was from America, pretty much. So.
Yeah. But I really like Spitfire. But and his flying goggles as well, of course. Like, he has a really cool design.
Yeah, and very much makes sense for what was he, SAS? Or
I don't remember. Yeah,
I feel like he was SAS.
Something.
I don't know.
And then, this isn't not something from 9, but rather I assume it's kind of set up for kind of Scarlet Strike Force is all this globular stuff, because clearly the like artifacts that Cobra is stealing are connected. Like they're stealing like a sacrificial dagger and matching bowl that's all snakes on it. Like I kind of with Cobra previously, IDW Cobra previously having been more of a just sort of like relatively normal kind of terrorist paramilitary kind of people, having this kind of new Cobra being like weird snake cult Cobra, like I'm into that. Like
yeah,
like I hope Serpentor is around though. If we're doing like Globulus and like snake gods and stuff, like Serpentor better be around for it, because like he was the Cobra guy that was into all that in the previous stuff.
Yeah. So let's move on to the books that we haven't talked about yet, starting with Clue number 4.
Yeah, so I still have no idea really who done it. Like, just each issue just makes me more and more confused, basically, at this point.
Yeah. So we get some interesting stuff in this. First off, at this point, like, I think we can cross Senator White and Mustard off the list. Like,
yeah.
Right? But as far as who killed Miss Peacock,
yeah.
Because really, that's the question we have to ask ourselves now, is who killed Miss Peacock, although I guess... Because really, that's the mystery, because now that Mr. Body is, revealed to have been alive, it's like...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what to think.
Yeah, we do get a lot more, like, flashbacks in this issue that sort of go into the history of these characters. And I really like the thing about the flashbacks is, like, the fact that everything is in black and white except for, like, the color of... Like the color of...
color.
Like, yeah. So, like, Mr. Green, like, he's wearing a green shirt, and that's the only thing in color. That is such a good... like artistic motif.
Oh,
like,
yeah, it's great, isn't it?
The art in this series is so good, and like
bring on Nelson Daniel drawing Scarlet Strike Force. Like,
my god, yes, and another thing, and really, it's this Cerobi Zinnia thing is like really is really becoming is the driving force behind this.
Oh yeah,
now
absolutely.
Like. I'm so glad this series apparently is a 6-issue instead of a 5-issue, because, man, like, there was no way they could have wrapped this all up. And, I mean, like, it's interesting. I'm still curious about Miss Scarlet. Like, I'm still suspicious of Miss Scarlet. I don't know. She knows something. Like, especially given that, like, flashback where Mr. Body invites her to the thing. I feel like I'm more suspicious of her than, like, I'm still suspicious of her. I don't know. She's got something going on. She's not as dumb as everybody says.
Yeah. And then we'll just like, well, it's not the second to last page of the issue, where just like assuming, from the use of the word minx, is she talking to is it a woman that has snuck up on her? But like, who is there? The like orchids with Plum, and so and Senator White is dead, and Detective Amarillo was outside, and just what's happening? Like, like I feel like this is going to be one of those things where kind of once we kind of get all the answers, we'll be able to kind of flip back and see, I see how that works. But right now, I'm just like, I don't know. I just my suspicions of Scarlet have weakened, even, I think, based on this issue, just because, like, I guess she could be like pretending in some of her interactions with other people, I guess.
What if? Okay, all right. I've got a theory.
Uh-huh.
What if Body set her up as a patsy. Because remember, he talks about the right kind of scandal.
Oh,
What if Body set up Scarlet as, like, the instigator to, like, I don't know, and maybe she's, like, murdering all these people will help her career or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's flimsy, but I think that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I don't know. That's my theory.
But yeah, and then like, well, are Mustard and Senator White both actually dead? I feel like at least one of them probably isn't actually dead. I am guessing.
I certainly hope. I mean, I feel like at this point, any other they're not actually dead thing, like, unless it's like, I don't know, maybe Colonel Mustard survives and then at the end, like, comes in and stops the murderer or stops Body or something, like in like a real last page twist. I really don't. I don't know. I can't see it working. We'll see how. We'll see how this series goes. I mean, it's a good series, but that's saying every issue is keeping us on our toes, and really most of this issue was just about exploring more backstory for our characters, like Mustard and all that, which was great to see. The dialogue continues to just be hilarious stuff, like Senator White telling Mr. Green to curb your misogyny. I could, but I won't. It's like
It's kind of it's nice that there is the issue count for this kind of character kind of development-y kind of flashback and stuff.
Yeah, and of course Carlos Guzman and Upton's interactions as always are great.
But
I say I did not expect to like Clue so much. It is such a good series.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't have that much to say about it though, just because I am still just aggressively confused by everything that's going on.
Yeah, I'm intrigued, definitely. So, but yeah, so I mean, Clue continues on. We'll see how things go in the next issue. It's really good. If you seriously have not picked this up already, do so. It's so worth it. It's such a good read.
Yeah, it's just kind of.
It is like
rollicking good fun. It's nice mystery. It's funny. Yeah, lovely art.
Yeah, great stuff. So I guess that really just leaves Wrath of Karza issue 5. Now, Callum, you did a whole reread of Micronauts in anticipation of this issue.
I did, yes.
I did not. So, go ahead and I want to hear your thoughts on the issue first.
I thought, well, it was more satisfying than I was. It was I'll put it this. It was less unsatisfying than I feared it might be. Yeah, like I was worried that the plot conclusion might be as wishy-washy as some of the sort of plot progression that has been happening in the previous parts, but kind of it was more sort of solid and conclusive than I had feared it might be. So yeah, no, it wasn't bad. I think in terms of plot, I think it was reasonably satisfying. It's still a bit like, the time travelers have turned up to take the bad time traveler away, the end, in terms of plot. But what makes up for it, though, is just the sheer amount of fun this issue has with the whole sort of time gone mad thing. Just like, I can forgive everything else. I can forgive anything else just because all the time gone mad stuff is so much fun. Because, like, we've got both... the Transformers get in on it. They go kind of Hearts of Steel first, and then into old Cybertronian bodies. Like, I looked this up the wiki the other day. RC is her kind of War for Cybertron design that she had during the first season of RID. Optimus is that old kind of original, like, Don Figueroa, I think, like Cybertronian design from Stormbringer. And Jazz is his Cybertronian design from Spotlight Jazz. I think Jazz has had, like, multiple Cybertronian designs.
Yeah,
but yeah, this is the one from, like, him fighting the Predator. Oh, it's like, it's him in Trax, isn't it? Against
that's what Spotlight is.
And then, but then also just the double page splash with the Micronauts as just everything.
Yeah, as
what we got,
barbarians, the old toys, superheroes.
The kind of Flintstones one. It's great. It's like Fenn's got sort of like pterodactyl kind of glider wings.
That was great. I love how many designs we've gotten to see for the Micronauts just through all the altered timelines and all that. Because call like the alternate timeline, like future Micronauts and all that. It's like so many cool designs. It really is.
I particularly like the superhero ones from this splash.
Those are great.
Just the best is just Microtron is mostly just Microtron just wearing a cape.
I know. Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
The toy ones are fun as well. Although, like, I kind of wish the toy ones were colored like the toys.
Yeah, like with the silver, like the all silver face and all that. Yeah, that would.
Yeah, like Toy Oz is just gold all over for some reason.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate the like Microtron has got his like ridiculously positioned drill and everything. Just that drill.
Insert Gurren Lagann reference here.
It's Microtron's rigid grill structure. Yeah. Whilst we're on the kind of like middle bit of the issue, flashing back to that scene from like issue 6 and like inserting an extra bit into it that we didn't see before. That was cute.
Yeah, that was actually real cool. It took me a minute to realize that was what was happening because, like I said, I didn't do a whole full reread and all that. But
that's true.
But yeah, it's like once I realized, oh, this is Oz, and like from that, that's really pulling. That's clever. Honestly, I really did think that this issue was better than the others. Like, it was at least ended very solidly compared to the earlier issues in the series. I really did I liked getting to see Karza Micronus Centaur form. Like that was really cool. Getting to see like a full Centaur version of the Micronus, and of course Optimus Prime taking that on. That was a really cool moment, and I did like how Karza immediately was like, okay, Micronauts, Transformers, we have to work together to stop my wife because she's gone crazy.
Yeah.
Which I realized this when I was recording with Chris, but there's such a Lady Macbeth dynamic to Shazrela and Karza's relationship. Oh yeah,
totally. Yeah.
Like it took me a while to figure it out, but it's like I realized that's where I was seeing that's what I was thinking of whenever I saw that. It really does show how Shazrela's her own greed just like and I think it says something that Karza like immediately was like he is corrupt, he is power hungry, but he does have a goal and a belief and a purpose, saving microspace. Because as soon as he realizes what her with these time traveler powers is going to cause, he immediately turns on her. And he's not happy that he has to do it, but he knows it's what he has to do. And I really like that from Karza's character.
Yeah, no, Karza he's goal orientated. Yeah, he sort of Yeah, like,
and his goals are noble, you know? I mean,
yeah.
There's no denying that. It's just the way he chooses to go about it. And I think that's really good. Like, if this series is the Wrath of Karza, I think it's really good that this is how that ended, you know? Was him joining with his enemies to fight the immediate threat. I really like that.
Yeah, no, it's kind of... I'm going to say, like, going into the series, I was expecting Karza to die at the end, basically, and this to be sort of Karza's finale. But kind of it's still kind of a finale to sort of everything that has been happening so far. But
yeah, I will say this: I didn't expect Karza to die, but I do think he should have been shuffled off to, like, either, like I said the last time we talked about Wrath of Karza, either some other dimension or microspace in the past or the entropy storm or something. I will say this was a good finale for Karza. I am kind of bummed that they're bringing him back for Rom and the Micronauts and not trying to go in any new direction with the Micronauts. Like, I don't know, Wraith, one of the, just a new villain entirely.
Yeah, it is a pity. I agree.
I feel like there's been too much. Like, I stand by what I said. There's been too much Karza. We need Karza to take a rest at some point, for a good time. He needs to be retired for a little bit.
I think the one thing that I did find weird about this issue is that the ending is kind of abrupt. Like,
yes, I'll agree with that too.
Like, literally, like at the end of the issue, like, we've got kind of like Akroya is still fighting Wraith, and you're just kind of left to assume that he'll sort that out. That's fine. It's like, oh, okay, gosh, right. It's odd.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, it ends with Karza getting teleported to Illinois or somewhere, and Shazrela getting teleported somewhere, and it's like, to be continued in First Strike. But it's like, kinda, but not really. It's kind of just. It's not a great conclusion for the Micronauts, but. It does just kind of end. So
yeah, it's actually that is a kind of tenuous claim that the story continues in First Strike 1. Well, I mean, like, Shazrela's in it, I guess, but
yeah.
Actually, she's barely even in issue 1, is she?
Issue 1. Hold on, I'm trying to think actually now.
Because she doesn't even interchange with Antagony until like issue 2, didn't she? I think.
No, she's not even in issue 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, issue 2 was actually the first time Shazrela.
Okay, yeah. So
was in First Strike. So, yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, on the whole, this brought a lot to conclusion, but I don't know. Maybe a few more pages could have tie things up.
It's a decent conclusion to the kind of Micronaut story, but like as a single issue, it doesn't really end very well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the one part of it is just that Oz, ascends to full time traveler mode, and like the entropy cloud says he's going to take care of the entropy cloud, I guess, and
yeah. Well, I mean, he implies that it's not going to be an instant thing. They're going to sort of heal the damage done. So, like, yeah. There's a sense of resolution, even if it's not. We fixed the entropy cloud now. There is we're going to fix the entropy cloud.
Yeah.
Although, like I say, kind of the ending wasn't as wishy-washy as I feared. Like, there's not really any clear reason given why, like, the time travelers couldn't have stopped that one mad time traveler, like, at literally any other time. I guess maybe, like, him going out and merging with Chazarela kind of, like, drew him out and made him vulnerable, maybe.
Yeah, but maybe I need to reread it, but that wasn't super clear. So maybe I'll give this a reread at some point, but
the whole thing that the entropy cloud is centered, like the kind of eye of the entropy storm is this one mad time traveler. That was only established, like, I think, like 1 or 2 issues ago in one of the sort of, like, really weird, like, repetitive Baron Karza time traveler interludes. So, like, yeah, I would not have at all remembered that was a thing if I hadn't done my reread. Like, if I had read this issue without rereading it, I would be like, who the hell is this? What's this about? A time traveler? Yeah.
I did remember that part, but, like, the rest was kind of a blur, so.
But, yeah, I think that's more the fault of the rest of this series rather than this actual issue itself.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and the Trons got destroyed.
Yeah. I was kind of expecting it. Like,
admittedly, I kind of expected it too, but it's still sad.
It is sad, yeah.
Like, and just, like, I mean, honestly, more sad because of that line from Microtron. My children. Oh.
Poor things.
Yeah. Bummer. Hey, at least we got them for 2 issues, and Omegatron was the best. Like, yeah.
It's true.
Now I have to use that at the end of this episode, like, because I'm never going to get another chance to use that clip. Yeah. So.
But yeah, so I guess shall we wrap up Wrath of Karza by talking about Micronauts as a whole, then?
Yes. Like I said, I didn't get a chance. I kind of wanted to do a reread, but, like, honestly, I didn't have time, so.
I did it over a few lunchtimes at work.
Yeah. And all mine are physicals, so it's like.
No, yeah.
So.
Yeah,
save for, like, the last few issues of Wrath of Karza, but anyways. But yeah, so Micronauts. Micronauts as a whole, the Cull and Bun series. I think in all, this series started out with a lot of promise. It started out very well, and sadly, for whatever reason, it sadly did not live up to the promise that I think it could have. I think this series had a lot more potential that either it wasn't given the time to reach, or what, it just, I enjoyed this series a lot, but it certainly could have been a lot better than it was.
Yeah, I think it was, the first arc is really good.
The first arc remains
ultimately
super solid.
It just, Micronauts was a lot better at doing, like, a space opera with sort of, like, tangible stakes. Like, we've got to stop, like, these guys from killing some other guys. It was a lot better at doing, kind of big space opera, kind of spaceships and sort of corridor fights than it was at kind of, the ones that got to Earth, and the kind of plot, kind of the driving force behind the plot ended up kind of more and more abstract as you got kind of more and more into all the sort of, like, time traveler, entropy storm kind of lore, and it felt kind of wishy-washier as it went on, like reaching peak wishy-washiness with the Wrath of Karza time traveler interludes, which were just like the wishy-washiest things ever.
Yeah, I feel like really the biggest problem with this series was just when they, and I hate to say this, when they got to Earth and everything slowed down. Like, I think the entire, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I won't count the annual in that, but of the 5 issues that sort of like that came after the Micronauts got on Earth with Revolution, I feel like that could have been done in 3.
Oh, easily, yeah. Because they spent 2 full issues escaping the facility, like one sort of running through the corridors and then one in the cars.
Yeah,
and you could turn the escape into one issue for the whole thing in the microspace city, but that's reasonable. And then you could have had pretty much everything else that goes on in 10 and 11 in one. Yeah, it's just the pacing did certainly slow to a crawl, right? And it's not even it wasn't even where sort of with Citizen G.I. Joe, it's been kind of decompressed, but kind of if you read it kind of if you read everything in one go, if you read it in trade, it does it feels pacey just because it's pacey. It's just kind of when you put it all together, it is actually kind of pacey, and there is always something going on. Whereas I just did read all that arc one after the other, and it still feels kind of slow.
Yeah, and like I said, I am certain that Cullen Bunn had more plans. I am I feel very confident in saying that he probably got cut short by IDW, either, and maybe it was for First Strike. I'll go ahead and say I'm a big apologist for IDW. I am one of their staunchest defenders, But even I have to say, if this series got cut short for First Strike, that's disappointing. It's not even I'm mad. I'm more just disappointed because Bunn clearly had a lot more planned. Wrath of Karza was clearly endgame, but the fact that it came so soon, that. I mean, and I think the character that really embodies this the most is Rhonda Conway, a character that was, instrumental in the Micronauts' first issue on Earth. This is the first issue on Earth. They're here. They're on our planet. They're Micronauts. Tiny explorers. And then that character vanishes for 2 to 3 issues, and then shows back up in the last issue of the Micronauts main series, and then has no effect in Wrath of Karza.
Well, yeah, it is. Again, reading everything in one go, it is incredibly jarring how you go from the end of issue 11, acts like it's setting up a new status quo that's the Micronauts hanging around with Rhonda and her kind of family, and they are not even mentioned. They're not even alluded to in Wrath of Karza, are they? They're just gone.
Yeah,
it's weird. I'm trying to think, I assume basically what happened is that getting towards issue 11, IDW weren't happy with the sales of Micronauts, so they said, okay, we're going to finish the ongoing at 11, and then you get a mini-series to wrap everything up. I assume that's what happened, but that still doesn't explain, what the hell the deal with, just Rhonda Conway disappearing after issue 11 was. I'm guessing maybe issue 11 was written... Well, I don't know, again, I don't know how the timings will work out, but I guess maybe if instead of Wrath of Karza, it had just been the ongoing, continuing for 5 more issues without the whole sort of everyone else is also there angle, then maybe those those characters could have still been in it, but then they got kind of pushed out by having Transformers and stuff in. That would be my guess. But
I really would. Yeah, I'd like to have Cullen Bunn on the show to talk about this, because it really does feel there were bigger plans, and I don't know what screwed them up, honestly.
I don't know. Yeah, I think by issues kind of 10 and 11, it was definitely sort of moving towards the next trade paperback being the finale. I think any plans for it to be sort of ongoing for more than another 1.5 trade paperbacks probably sort of non-existent by then. But yeah, I think in general Micronauts has ended up being a series defined by sort of missed potential.
Yeah. I mean, because again, that first arc really was great, and at the very least, this series gave us some very interesting characters, like a Croyer. I mean, he's the poster boy of this franchise. Great character. Love him. Love a Croyer. I mean, he's such a good character. I love him. I'm glad that we're gonna see him. He is just this. He's just the best, I mean, he's a warrior. He likes to fight. He is just he's the straight man to everyone's jokes. It's great. I love a Croyer.
Micronauts, I think it's an excellent set of characters and a nice kind of setting, in terms of microspace, let down by their plot.
Yeah.
Right. And for that reason, I am whilst I am sort of apprehensive about what it's going to do to Rom's ongoing plot, I am looking forward to just seeing the Micronauts get to be kind of characters in a different story, just because they are fun characters. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's definitely the biggest strength that we can give this book, is created some memorable, interesting characters that will hopefully get another shot at being written well. Being given either better circumstances or a better writer or a better series. It's like.
Well, it's just it's a better story to be in. They're good characters in want of a better story.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And I certainly hope even after Rom and the Micronauts, the Micronauts get another shot at and maybe someone can pick up the strands and really give us the Micronauts that the first 6 issues promised.
Well, yeah, I can certainly live in hope, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm attached to the set of characters, both the heroes and the villains at this point.
Oh yes,
so, yeah.
I mean that's the thing. Larissa. Yeah, sorry. Larissa. I mean, yeah, really cool character. Biotron, Microtron, Fen. Honestly, I'd say probably if there was, and I mean even Oz. Probably I'd say Oz is my least favorite of the Micronauts, but that's not an indictment. It's just everyone else is a little bit cooler, but he's still cool, And even Oz was interesting, and of course the villains, Baron Karza, Shazrayla, they're dynamic, very, very interesting. That's the thing. There's a lot I liked about this book, but on the whole of the series, it didn't live up to the potential it promised. So
yeah, it's a shame. But I guess the good thing about all these characters being in a shared universe is that the characters are still there for the taking.
Yeah.
Just because Micronauts is over doesn't mean they are they are lost. So yeah. I am looking forward to seeing them, under the pen of Christos Gage in one of the Micronauts, and and potentially doing other things in the future. Here's hoping.
Yep. So, I think that will just about bring us to the end. Before we go, we're not going to talk about, we're not going to mention next week's books because technically that's next episode. There are no books next week. And anyways, so let's not worry about that. But I had this idea. Because there's a lot of podcasts out there that rank things. It's apparently a thing that podcasts do. But that has gotten me thinking about the Hasbro Universe and all the stories that have been told. Transformers, G.I. Joe, Micronauts, Mask, ROM, and everything in between. And that led me to think, what are some of the best stories out there? If you want to get someone into the Hasbro Universe, what are some of the stories that you really tell them to read, and what are the stories that you really want people to avoid? And as such, me and Callum are starting a new thing on this show that will be a reoccurring segment. It won't be every episode, but we have decided that we are going to take submissions from our listeners, and we are going to rank every story in the Hasbro Universe, from the best to the worst. Now, for this, we want you to submit stories to us either through our Allspark forum or via our Twitter page. These are the only two places we want you to submit them, because really those are the only two places that we feel like is really the best way to get in contact with us. And so, we don't want to have to check 28 different places just to see suggestions, and we don't want to miss any suggestions. So here's what I'd say. Submit at most 3 stories at a time, and then once that submission goes, wait for us to then talk about it and then rank those stories before submitting any more. But yeah, we want our listeners to go ahead and start sort of submitting stories for us to consider. And now I'm still working through most of my Joe reading, probably going to go back and reread a lot of Transformers. But the basic idea is that every story, individual story, will get discussed in some form or fashion.
To start off as starts off as sort of kind of a barometer, I think was the word we'd use. But yeah, our kind of reference points for quality are going to be at top end of the scale. We're talking Lost Under the Wreckers. That's a bar to hit. That's up there. It's pretty much one of the best. And down the bottom, we have got, for instance, The Fall of G.I. Joe, which I'm sure I've talked about The Fall of G.I. Joe on this podcast. I think I have, haven't I? Yeah.
Yeah. Which is admittedly one of those things I have not read, but I am now that we are officially doing this, I am going to read it out of order, just so I can compare any other story to this. And this will basically just give us an opportunity to talk about, either the stories that I'm, catching up with in the form of G.I. Joe, or stories that we've read, in the past, just sort of for instance, Dark Cybertron, or the Infiltration miniseries, or, that kind of thing. However, we do have one rule for submissions. Any story arc is ineligible for submitting if it is not 1 year old. And that is the end of the story. So, for instance, ROM Earthfall. One story, right? 0 through 4. I'd say that's a single story, right? Would you agree?
It is. Yeah, it is sort of... Well, I mean, it is literally, numbered as Earthfall parts, probably through 4. But yeah, it is a story, kind of start to finish.
Yes. But that series has a cover date of October 2016, and it didn't end up being published until November 2nd, 2016. So for that, we have to wait until October 2017 in order for that to be eligible for us to discuss. This is mainly just so that people don't submit Revolutionaries and that series just ended, so it's fresh in our minds, we still like it, or it allows us, the story is time to settle, see how much is memorable, and overall will help in the ranking system. But yes, and this will probably be posted to our Libsyn page. I still have to see if Libsyn will allow, like, for little extra pages and all that. But yeah, if not, then this will go somewhere. Who knows? Maybe we'll host it on the AllSpark even. Me and Callum still have to talk about that. So, but yeah. So currently, our list of our current list of every story ever in the Hasbro Universe from best to worst is currently Last Stand of the Wreckers at number 1 and The Fall of G.I. Joe at number 2. And you know, just because we say that's sort of our barometer, if we decide that a story is better than Last Stand of the Wreckers, that'll be the new number 1. You know, Last Stand of the Wreckers might get dethroned. I don't know if it will. Like, you know, we'll see what happens. And if we decide a story arc is worse than The Fall of G.I. Joe, it might, you know, Fall of G.I. Joe will not be the worst thing ever anymore, you know?
I mean, I feel reasonably confident that I can say that at least nothing will be kind of worse than The Fall of G.I. Joe in the same way that G.I. Joe is bad. Like, nothing is as slow and as boring as The Fall of G.I. Joe. Like things could be worse for different reasons, but like I feel reasonably safe saying now that nothing is as slow and as tedious and as uneventful and as sort of boring to look at as The Fall of G.I. Joe. Just, oh my god, like I hate that story so much. It's the worst.
And I will read it like as soon as this podcast is over. So, but yeah.
Don't save yourself now.
I have to. I have a duty. I have a moral obligation. I'm not going to hang this all on one person's word. Okay, because if a series comes along that you think is not as bad as The Fall of G.I. Joe, and I think it's worse than The Fall of G.I. Joe, then we're gonna have a real discussion. Then that'll be yes. Okay, so I have to read everything. This is going to ensure that I read everything. And and one final thing. We will also be judging, like, based on submissions, whether something is a single story. Like for instance, Revolutionaries. Is that one story, or like is issue 6 wholly its own story, or is issue 5 wholly its own story? Because they, you know, that's like issue 6 was the Atomic Man issue, and issue 5 was the Centurion issue. So it's like an argument could be made that those single issues are stories in and of themselves. You know, so that's the thing. We will judge every story. If we think a story is smaller or part of a larger whole, then we'll just take that submission and then say, well, really, this is a part of a bigger story, or this is really, you know, this is more like 3 stories together, and you know, we'll play those by ear pretty much. So, yeah. But otherwise, I think that's it. So, yes, please. So, yes, like we said, submit via our AllSpark forum or via our Twitter with the hashtag story submission. Thank you so much for listening, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary folks everywhere. And join us next time for the actual 11th episode of Action Adventure, the Hasbro Universe podcast. Callum, where can the people find you on the internet?
Twitter, Tumblr, AllSpark, wikis aplenty, all under Jala Guy, Jala Guy.
See,
I'm straightforward like that. Like consistent brand presence, something. Yeah.
Anyways, you can find me on Twitter at Daniel Adkins PRD. You can find me on Tumblr, Daniel Adkins blog, the AllSpark, various wikis, you know, the usual stuff. And, of course, you can continue to follow the show on iTunes, where you can leave us a review if you like the show. And you could also leave us a review if you hate the show. But, just remember, if you do hate the show, just write a scathing review and then click the 5-star button. You'll still tell us, how much we suck and all that, but at least you'll be giving us 5 stars. And, of course, you can follow us on Google Play, our Libsyn page, and, of course, our partners over at allspark.com. Great site. Great community, love them to death. You can follow us on Twitter at Hasbro U Podcast. You can follow us on Tumblr at Hasbro Universe Podcast.tumblr.com. And I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Get those submissions in, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, goodbye.
Hippin' and hoppin', whippin' and poppin'.
Here come the Trons.
Trons, Micronauts that can make you laugh. Batteries for each not included.
They scramble and tumble, ramble and rumble.
Waggle, wiggle, can make you giggle.
Here come the Trons.
Alphatron, Betatron, Gammatron.
1 by 1 and 2 by 2, how wacky, it's all up to you.
Here come the Trons.
Alphatron, Betatron, Gammatron. Each sold separately from the Micronaut collection by Mego.